Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. For a very long time, decades upon decades, we've been working very closely with Houston Community College. We have seen the campus grow by leaps and bounds. We have seen so many leaders take the helm to do incredible work for our city. Today, we're happy to introduce the latest chancellor of Houston Community College, who has a long history in education. She's none other than our guest here today, Chancellor Margaret Ford Fisher. Thank you so much, Dr. Fisher, for being with us. We are so proud of you, your long-term trajectory in education, and now the opportunity to lead Houston Community College.
Well, thank you so very, very much, Dr. Murillo. I am just so delighted to be here. I'm honored, very, very proud to be here in the interview with you. And I want to congratulate you for the great work that you are doing and leading with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and for the city of Houston as well. I am just really very, very impressed by you and the work that you're doing with the chamber in order to serve our community as well. So this forms a great partnership, the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Houston Community College, to move that trajectory higher.
Absolutely. And in order to do that, one of the great advancements that I'd like to hear about is the 88th Texas Legislature recently met, and there are some changes that will impact community colleges. Tell us about that.
Sure, absolutely. House Bill 8 is one of the changes that is a welcome change, of course, for the college, for our community, and for the city and state for that matter. This allows us to focus on credentials of value, which means then that we are looking at offering those credentials that will lead to high wage jobs for residents of our community. We've always had the continuing education programs, but we're looking now at high demand occupations. This allows us to work much more closely with business and industry and with our communities. And what we will find is that we will be able to offer short-term stackable certificates for the residents of the community to get jobs and then to get employment in some of the high demand fields where there is a great need right now. And as you well know, the state of Texas is focusing on a talent strong Texas. And so here in Houston, we're focusing on not just the talent strong Houston, but the talent strong Texas as well. Because we know that the way Houston goes, given that we are the largest city in the state with the population and with the students in need and the residents who are in need of career opportunities, that will be the way that the state goes as well. And so that is why we are focusing on House Bill 8. We're working closely with the public schools, with business and industry, with chambers of commerce, with civic clubs. Throughout our community, we're outreaching to make available that opportunity for the residents because we believe in access, success, and then economic and social mobility for all of the residents of our community.
As with everyone across the globe, COVID had major impacts and also many opportunities to improve and learn. What were some of those takeaways for Houston Community College?
Well, one of the takeaways for us was that so many of the residents within our area were unable to continue their education, primarily because they did not have the technology available to them. They did not understand nor know about the learning management system. Everything for the most part was closed. There was a lot of learning loss. And so we were able to work with partners, and that's why partnerships are so important. We were able to work with partners in order to secure the computers, the bandwidth, et cetera, to support so many of our residents who at least knew how to use the technology so that they could continue their education. So we recognized the need then to provide that support for all of the residents of our community. And so our Board of Trustees approved digital access centers where in 10 locations, all of the residents of our community who are interested in coming in and learning whether or not it is to go into the campus to take a class face-to-face or to go into the center to learn how to use the learning management system. We have all of the support systems and the wraparound services available to them. And so let's just take as an example, Dr. Murillo, we have the residents who come in and they want to take a class on campus. They are able to take that class, and perhaps there's another class that they want, and that class is not available on campus at that time. They can then go into the Digital Access Center. There will be staff members there who will help facilitate their learning how to use that technology to help them to get online so that they can complete their coursework. We have the free education classes for the community as well, community learning, where they can come in and learn how to use the technology, learn our learning management system, which is Canvas or Eagle Online. And so we are open to serve the community because we embrace our mission, we embrace our communities, and we want to do all that is required to ensure that we're able to elevate the lifestyle through education and training for all of the residents of our communities that are interested in making sure that they can create a better life for themselves and for their families.
All very important work. And I think the other important thing to note is that your campuses are throughout the greater Houston region, accessible, bilingual, affordable, still today, in a time when we know that colleges and universities have become, just for many families, unaffordable. And so we thank you for allowing so many people not only to get an associate's degree, but also certifications and just continuing education. Let's talk a little bit about that, please.
Well, the certifications are really critically important for so many of the residents of our community. And you are so right about that. And that goes back to House Bill 8. What we see is that many of the companies are looking for persons with micro credentials or certifications that will upskill them and allow them to work in business and industry. We are working with companies with respect to the apprenticeships that are available as well. So if we take one example, if, for example, you have a resident of the community who's interested in becoming a phlebotomist, as an example, and this is just one of many examples, for 3 courses that the resident could take, that person could then become certified to become a phlebotomist. Now, we find that with the 22 locations that we have and the 7 colleges, one of them is an online college, that the residents have access to education and training via the House Bill 8 that was referenced earlier. This then folds into the high demand workforce, where they're looking for individuals with industry certifications as well. And there are various funding levels, of course, that are associated with it. But as has always been the case, HCC is interested in making sure that every resident of our community has the education and training necessary in order to make a good life for themselves and for their families. Funding comes next because we make sure that all of what is needed in terms of the wraparound services are available for the residents of our community. So those certifications are there. We work with the dual credit students as well, and there is a funding associated with that, because what we want to do is to make sure that the students who are taking dual credit courses, that they will have a degree plan where they can also move forward and transfer to a 4-year institution after they complete their associate's degree here in an early college high school program or dual credit program, that they will have that seamless pathway for that. And there's funding associated with that. But we recognize that it is very important for all of our students to have that personalized learning that we focus on. We also support the academic rigor and integrity that is so critically important, because if our students choose the pathway to a 4-year degree, as an example, they will be just as competent, perhaps even more so, according to the data that we have received, once they transfer to a 4-year institution, in many instances, more competent and more qualified and capable of completing those higher level courses than students who began at the university as a freshman.
And
So
that's
we're
what we
very
want.
proud.
We want them to graduate. Recruiting them is one thing, retaining them and getting them to completion and graduation is the goal. So Chancellor, thanks for all that you do. We appreciate you and the entire team at Houston Community College. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading advocate for Hispanic business in our region. In Houston, we represent over $54 billion per year in consumer spending. Our thanks to our volunteers, sponsors, board of directors, and staff as we work to advocate for business and for a stronger economy. Learn more by visiting the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce website, HoustonHispanicChamber.com. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We're happy to be here on television with the first Latina to serve as the chair of Metro. As you know, Metro is so important to this city, and it's going to make sure that we can get to and from all parts of the region. With her leadership and that of the board of directors and others, we are happy to tell you that Metro is on the move. We're going to talk about Metro now. We're going to talk about Metro next. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Laura. This is a great opportunity to talk about what's happening at Metro. So I really appreciate you taking the time to invite me.
Absolutely. So it's a hot topic. I think you would agree. And transportation is so important with so many people wanting improved transit, so many sporting events and other activities coming to this great city of ours. And so among them is this growing demographic that is the Hispanic demographic, with more than 45% of the population being Hispanic. And if you would kindly tell us, what are some plans there to specifically address some of those needs?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I would like to work with the Chamber on finding opportunities to have outreach to the Hispanic community, because you're right, we have so many diverse opportunities from employment to ridership to events that are taking place that Hispanics can participate in. So I think that for us, it's really, really important that we reach that audience to talk about what kind of opportunities we have, whether it's through education, employment, internships, ridership, and making sure that we are connecting with the community.
Absolutely. We're happy to help with that in a variety of ways, including focus groups and surveys and others. And so we'll get back to that conversation. I want to turn our attention now to what is BRT, as people in the know call it, but for those who may not be familiar, it's the Bus Rapid Transit Lines. And here's what jumped off the page for me. It's a $3 billion with a B, $3 billion project, and this would go to the taxpayers. Explain that to us and tell us the pros and cons of it, if you will.
Well, we're currently taking a look at the BRT project. As you know, it was authorized and by the voters before COVID. A lot has changed since COVID, including the cost of projects like this. So we see that the cost is going up and up. And we also need to be looking at whether this project or other projects make more sense since times have changed. And also we need to be thinking about how we incorporate technology. Technology, I think, will give us a lot of opportunity to look at things that we haven't considered in the past, like, for example, rideshare or microtransit, and really decide what's going to work best for us now and into the future.
So it's good to hear that there are some thoughts to just look at everything, put it on the table, and decide whether or not it makes sense today and the financial impact that it will have, because these are not small projects, and there are, for businesses especially, in some cases, in many cases, there can be some disruptions there. And so getting that feedback and being customer centric is important. Talk to us about that focus.
So for me, the number one thing that I want to tie everything we do to is our customer. And we want to make sure that that everything we do ties to ridership. How are we increasing ridership? How do we become the metro that people choose to use versus are dependent on using? And so that's how we're going to increase ridership, by focusing on what's important to our customers. Our customers want to be safe. They want a service that is reliable. They want a service that is clean, and they want a service that's friendly and user friendly. So we have to be easy to use. Our routes have to be easy to use. It has to be accessible. We have to meet the customer where they are. So rideshare offers a great opportunity for us to say, you know, we're gonna pick you up from your curb and take you to where you need to be within a certain parameter. So we're looking at how we can do that in a way that makes sense. And we're seeing that other transit authorities are using microtransit as the way of the future. So we really want to be mindful of that as we start to think about what are the things that we're going to implement into the future.
Well, it's a big task. I know you're up to it, and the team at Metro is too. And our mayor, Whitmire, has made an excellent choice in selecting you to lead this charge. Please know the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and many others in the city want you and Metro to succeed. And I'm so happy to hear some of the key phrases that you've used, which include putting the customer first and being customer centric, because we want Metro to be something that's, as you mentioned, something of choice. So good luck on all of that, and keep making us proud. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading advocate for Hispanic business in our region. In Houston, we represent over $54 billion per year in consumer spending. Our thanks to our volunteers, sponsors, board of directors, and staff as we work to advocate for business and for a stronger economy. Learn more by visiting the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce website, HoustonHispanicChamber.com. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. One of our many partners in the city is none other than NRG Stadium. With us today, CEO Ryan Walsh joining us. Thank you, Ryan.
Hi, Laura. Thanks so much for having me today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. What an exciting time for NRG. What an exciting time for the sports convention and all that you guys do. Tell us a little bit more about it for folks who are not familiar.
Sure. So the Harris County Sports and Convention Corporation, we operate, maintain, and develop the 350-acre NRG Park, which is owned by Harris County. And then, of course, our two tenants, our partners, our best friends, the Houston Texans and the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. So we work on that 365 days a year, bringing all of the events, working with our tenants and partners, and certainly our community partners like you and others to bring a lot of good entertainment back to the community.
And most people may not realize just, in fact, how much you all do for the community. Ryan, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thanks so much. That's a great question. So in addition to the more than 600 events we have every year, we really pride ourselves in what we call our commitment to community. Of course, over the years, disaster response, hurricanes Katrina, Hurricane Harvey, certainly during the pandemic, we had a big response with whether it was vaccinations or drive-through voting, you name it, working with Harris County to do that. But we do a lot for the community, and certainly that's a big focus of us, not just for the events that you might come to, say the rodeo or a Texans game or a concert, but certainly those events like like Commissioner Ellis's Precinct 1 Street Olympics. We've had several blood drives. We certainly have a lot of blood drives at NRG Park, but commitment to community is very important to the Sports Corporation.
Absolutely, it is. And we know that there are a lot of upcoming events. What do you think is making NRG Stadium so attractive to others to come to the city and host events here?
Well, it's Houston. Why wouldn't you want to come to Houston, right? But in addition to that, I think there's a lot of benefit to NRG Stadium and NRG Park. First of all, we're one of the most unique facilities in the country. We're one of only, I think, one or two that have not just an NFL stadium, but also a convention and exhibition centers, as well as a seated arena, plus 350 acres. I mean, we've got a lot of ancillary land that a lot of these events look to and capitalize on. Certainly, say during the college football playoff, you had the stadium where the game was, but he also had NRG Center where a lot of the teams had their parties and their hospitality over there. So, I mean, for us, it's a very unique and excellent marketing tool to have the 350 acres in the three facilities.
Absolutely. And we must applaud you for the year-round of events that you all host, the security, the logistics, the people, the contracts, vendors, etc. It is absolutely impressive that you all can, in my opinion, just even flip the area so quickly from one event to the next. I remember one day, I can't remember what the event was, and then the next day you guys had this monster truck.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know what it was, but you guys do it every day.
It is every day for us. And that's how we look at every event, whether it's, a 100-person business meeting or the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo with more than 2.5 million people that come through the gates. Everything is an event, and we run it as such. And we're proud of that. Certainly, it's a lot of short turnaround, a lot of short time, but I am convinced of this, and not just because of where I sit, but because of what I see, is that we have the absolute best people in the industry here at NRG Park. Absolutely fantastic stuff.
A great team, and we are so thrilled to partner with you all and for all that you and the team do over there. We appreciate you. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you soon. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading advocate for Hispanic business in our region. In Houston, we represent over $54 billion per year in consumer spending. Our thanks to our volunteers, sponsors, board of directors, and staff as we work to advocate for business and for a stronger economy. Learn more by visiting the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce website, houstonhispanicchamber.com. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. What an honor it is to interview the newest council member here to our city, Joaquin Martinez, who's been a great friend and advocate of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. He and his family have done so much to get to where they are today, representing our city on city council. So, council member, congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo. Really good friend as well. Thank you for everything you continue to do for the city of Houston, but also for the Latino community. And on a personal note as well, I think you serve as a mentor to a lot of folks, and I want to let you know that I'm going to be leaning on you as well throughout this journey.
Thank you so very much. And at this time especially, our city needs advocates at city council, needs people to understand that the city runs on behalf of its, community leaders and people who are out there working every day, and entrepreneurs who are the epicenter of the great value that business brings to this great city. But I want to back up a little bit, and I know you've worked at City Hall for many years. You've been out there. I have seen you run the laps around this city, and so many things that you should be very proud of. On that note, what was it that actually got you to run for office?
Thank you for the question. I used to work for former council member John Castillo right out of high school for about 3 years as an intern. And I was 18, 19, and 20. So some of that kind of stayed within me. And then after the council member was termed out, I started working for what is now Baker Ripley, used to be Neighborhood Centers. And I would say probably about 2 to 3 years into working with Baker Ripley, I started connecting some dots where I was part of the youth service development portion of the community-based initiative programs. And, knowing that I'm filling out forms for CDBG, Community Development Block Grants, that the federal government gets to the city, I started connecting some dots. I'm like, well, if we're asking the city for funds, and I was just at the city, how can I make my way back to the city of Houston? And I'll be honest, I think it was really a long, patient journey, but it was a very purposeful journey to be at City Hall, specifically as your District I City Council member. I would say almost 20 years in the making.
So some things take time and are definitely worth waiting for. And so we're so proud of you to represent such an important region of the city. So for those who may not know, tell us about what region you are representing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'll talk in a higher level, but then I'll zoom into a couple of specific areas in the district. So we represent most of downtown. We start heading southeast into the historic East End neighborhoods from Eastwood to Magnolia Park, and then we hit south of 610. 45 is a little bit of our spinal cord for a bit, mostly though to the west of 45, which is the hobby area. And post redistricting, we take up just north of the Beltway now. We do go southeast around the Ship Channel, up 610, and then there's pocket neighborhoods in the northeast part, kind of North Shore area, west of or east of 610, north of I-10, and west of Greens Bayou. So it's a very diverse community. In downtown, we have stadiums. In just east of downtown, you have, where you start seeing new development and new homes coming up. And as I mentioned, the East End, historic East End, and even the hobby area, we have some historic neighborhoods. But then that encompasses the hobby airport as well. I mentioned the Port of Houston. We have some parts of it as well. So we have what I like to say is really what the city encompasses, right? You have the entertainment, you have the workforce area, and we have traditional neighborhoods. So I like to say this a lot. Wherever District I goes, or where is where the city goes. And so that's a good kind of layout of District I.
And so many, I'm sure, priorities. Do you have top 3 priorities?
Yes. So as you mentioned, I worked at the city, and I worked in the council office for 10 years, and there was a lot of great things that we were able to do. But as the city continues to evolve and get more populated, more dense, as communities start changing a little bit as well, dynamics. For me, I want to really focus in the East End when it comes to affordability, housing. I grew up in the East End. I went to elementary, middle school, and high school, and affordability is becoming something that those residents are really wanting to ensure so they can stay and continue to build on their legacy of family, right? So single family, multifamily, senior housing is a priority there. In the hobby area, and I just came from a meeting with Baker Ripley. Social services are important. It's an opportunity because you have an anchor like the airport, hobby airport, where we can still see a mixture of housing development that's affordable, but also see what commercial development can do to that area where we really are lacking services, and not just social services, but then also some of your things that you've seen and naturally get better in the East End, right? A coffee shop, a brewery, some restaurants, and then some of the other things that, your dry cleaners, right? So how do we start injecting some of that small business entrepreneurship within the hobby area? And then up in the northeast part of the district, I would love to see how we can utilize some of our economic development tools, like the tax increment reinvestment zone, to expand south of where our northern boundary is now, to see infrastructure improvements, drainage improvements, but also start seeing some of the amenities. We have one of the largest undeveloped green spaces. There's some development there at Herman Brown Park, but then there's opportunities to actually make that northeast part of Houston another destination for the city, right? When you start looking at outdoor space. And so those are my 3 top, and I put them out there in kind of the way the lay of the land is. But then I also want to make sure public safety is important, right? Infrastructure in general. Also want to make sure that your regular city services, I know those are not always the sexiest things to talk about, but those are important to a city to make sure we can work, live, and play.
Well, sounds like there's a big agenda in front of you, but nothing that you can't handle. And please know that you can count on the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to be supportive of the work that you do and the rest of your colleagues at City Hall. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo.
The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading advocate for Hispanic business in our region. In Houston, we represent over $54 billion per year in consumer spending. Our thanks to our volunteers, sponsors, board of directors, and staff as we work to advocate for business and for a stronger economy. Learn more by visiting the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce website, HoustonHispanicChamber.com. The Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the leading advocate for Hispanic business in our region. In Houston, we represent over $54 billion per year in consumer spending. Our thanks to our volunteers, sponsors, board of directors, and staff as we work to advocate for business and for a stronger economy. Learn more by visiting the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce website, HoustonHispanicChamber.com.